In 1998, Hollywood brought its own version of the legendary Godzilla to the big screen. An enormous creature, nuclear tests, chaos in New York, and a lot more than just destruction. But what really happened in this movie? Let's break down the full story of Godzilla.
There seemed to be some terrifying creature here. The old man was completely petrified by the scene. Then, 2 chicken feet slowly emerged from the water, and the sea was suddenly stirred into towering waves. Driven by the giant chicken feet, the splashing waves rose 100 meters high. Snapping out of it, the old man turned to run, but it was too late. Under the impact of the giant chicken feet, the once solid wood shattered instantly. In the blink of an eye, the entire pier became a ruin, accompanied by a terrifying roar. People were still completely unaware of the impending disaster. At that moment, on the cross-sea bridge, a massive tail reaching to the sky slowly appeared. Under the horrified gazes of onlookers, a huge fishing boat was lifted out of the sea by the giant chicken feet. With just a flick, the monster smashed the boat into pieces. Then a giant claw suddenly reached out like an indestructible barrier, crushing vehicles one after another. Panicked people fled in all directions. But under the monster's claw, they were flattened before they could even scream. Every step it took made the ground tremble. Even tall buildings were instantly reduced to ruins. With just one light stomp, countless people were killed or injured on the spot. Yet even so, there were still a few fearless ones constantly testing the edge of death. But as the monster's giant foot came down, he was so scared he wet himself. Unexpectedly, he survived in the crevice of the monster's toes. Still shaken, the man turned and saw the monster gradually moving away. The appearance of this monster had earlier signs. Just a few days ago, a fishing boat from an island nation sailing in the Pacific suddenly detected an unknown creature rapidly approaching on radar. Before the crew could react, a giant tail smashed down, and the ship was instantly torn apart. No one on board survived. When the military arrived, they saw giant footprints stretching for hundreds of miles. At the end of the trail, a massive claw mark on the sea surface was chilling. But what kind of creature could have such destructive power? The monster flesh left on the wreckage caught the attention of biologist Nick. After research and comparison, he believed it was likely a new mutant species caused by nuclear radiation. Meanwhile, the military made a new discovery at a subway station. When they went in to investigate, a massive pit came into view. The monster likely existed somewhere underground. But with the underground being so vast, how could they search? Nick suggested luring it out, as the monster seemed to be very interested in fish. Soon, the military brought tons of fish, piling them into a small mountain on the ground. All soldiers stood ready, waiting to eliminate the monster once it took the bait. After a long wait, just as everyone thought the monster wouldn't come, the ground suddenly tore open. As a deep, guttural roar echoed through the air, a colossal abyssal maw emerged from the ground. In the horrified gazes of onlookers, the massive beast slowly rose from the earth, its towering form blocking out the sky, shrouded in dark, obsidian-like scales. It was truly terrifying. This was none other than the legendary nuclear monster, Godzilla. A man instinctively tried to take a photo, which startled Godzilla so much that he made an unexpectedly cute expression. Fortunately, he showed no interest in humans. He merely exhaled a thick, putrid breath in the man's direction, before turning toward the nearby fish stockpile. Little did he know, humanity had already laid a meticulous trap, ready to take him down. With a single command from the colonel, a barrage of firepower rained down upon the colossal creature. Yet the onslaught barely scratched him. Godzilla, using surprising agility, skillfully dodged the shelling. Unfortunately, the building struck by the artillery crumbled instantly, and the falling debris ended up causing massive casualties among the military. Realizing he had been deceived, Godzilla tried to retreat. His immense body moved forward with unstoppable force. No one could stand in his way. Though he only wanted to flee, humanity was determined to eliminate him. Now thoroughly enraged, he unleashed his iconic atomic breath. An armored vehicle behind him was instantly reduced to ashes. Even the mighty Apache helicopters were no match. They were soon destroyed by his furious roars and attacks. It was a disastrous defeat for humanity. Godzilla's explosive roar shook the heavens and the earth, as if proclaiming himself king. The entire city was shrouded in fear. Meanwhile, Nick had collected a blood sample from the scene. But the test results left everyone dumbfounded. The monster was pregnant, possibly through asexual reproduction. The reason for Godzilla's presence in the human city became clear. He was looking for a place to lay eggs. Judging by his constant feeding on fish, it was highly likely he had already laid them, and perhaps some had already hatched. Immediate action was required to destroy the eggs before it was too late. But when Nick shared this theory, he was met with ridicule. The military even shut down his research project, leaving him disheartened. Just then, a French secret agent named Philippe approached him. Nick was taken to a secret weapons facility, where he learned that they had also come for Godzilla. Years ago, French nuclear testing in the Pacific caused biological mutations. Godzilla, originally a lizard, had mutated due to radiation. The French team had come to eliminate the threat they had indirectly created. They located Godzilla's general whereabouts and headed into the tunnels, fully armed, in search of the nest. In search of the nest. At the same time, the military attempted to lure Godzilla again. Unfortunately, this plan endangered Nick's team. Shortly after entering the tunnels, they encountered Godzilla head-on. His deafening roar sent chills down their spines. The group scrambled into a small chamber to hide. Thankfully, Godzilla didn't attack and left for the human city instead, seeing the enormous creature again. The soldiers were paralyzed with fear. Godzilla glanced at a pile of fish nearby and seemed to realize he'd been tricked once more. He immediately turned to leave. The military was forced to launch their attack prematurely. But Godzilla managed to escape the trap. Countless helicopters chased him in vain, their weapons proved useless against his thick skin. Instead, many were crushed beneath his feet during his escape, before everyone's eyes. Godzilla leapt into the deep sea. But the military was ready. They fired multiple torpedoes at once. This time, they hit their mark. Giant waves erupted as Godzilla sank beneath the surface. People cheered. Godzilla had finally fallen, but was he really dead so easily? Meanwhile, Nick and his team followed Godzilla's trail and discovered his lair. Just as they had suspected, the eggs had already been laid. To their horror, there were hundreds of them. If even a few hatched and escaped, it would spell disaster for humanity. They immediately began planting explosives to destroy the eggs before they could hatch. But it was too late. Sensing danger, the eggs began to hatch one by one. Small Godzillas burst out and attacked the team, facing a swarm of newborn monsters. Several teammates were devoured instantly. The entire building was soon overrun by the creatures. The few who managed to escape rushed to the broadcasting room and went live, alerting the public to the looming catastrophe. Only then did people realize the true danger. The military quickly dispatched bombers to destroy the building. Just as the team escaped, missiles rained down. The resulting explosions wiped out hundreds of baby Godzillas. People thought the crisis was over, but then a giant head burst from the rubble. It was the original Godzilla. Not dead after all. Seeing his charred offspring, Godzilla was consumed by fury. The survivors knew they were in deep trouble and ran for their lives. Godzilla gave chase, determined to avenge his young. Fortunately, they found a car along the way. Thanks to Philippe's expert driving, they narrowly escaped again and again, finally reaching a suspension bridge. Godzilla, relentless, chased them onto the bridge. But he didn't realize he had fallen into another trap. Thick cables pulled tight, locking Godzilla in place. Now he was a sitting duck. Bombers above locked on. One after another, missiles struck the restrained giant. Godzilla let out a helpless roar. And finally, after a final thunderous blow, the great beast collapsed. As Godzilla lay dying, Nick was filled with guilt. After all, humanity had created him. He only wanted to protect his children. Was that really a crime? Godzilla closed his eyes for the last time. The crisis was over. The people erupted in celebration. But no one knew that deep in the one egg had survived the blast. A tiny Godzilla was just beginning to hatch.